So the E3 train is rolling. The hype is real. Today it is Thursday, June 9th, which means that we are just days away from E3 2016 finally beginning. Always the coolest and most exciting time of the year for gamers because E3 is a big deal. It's always a huge deal, and we've been counting down to E3 pretty much since January 1st. That's the way it always works every year. Even though this year is very exciting, of course, we all know the big sort of weird news and thing that's happening around E3 this year is Nintendo's odd inclusion and also the things that they are not doing and not including in the show this year. Most notably, we know they have a new machine that's coming out soon. The Nintendo NX is not going to be there, which really sucks. A lot of us expected it. It seems very strange of them not to do it, but they seem to have a plan that they want to stick to. Also, they initially announced that they wouldn't have any other games available at the show or shown at the show or talked about at the show except for the brand new Legend of Zelda, and even more specifically than that, only the Wii U version of the game, otherwise confirmed to also be coming to the NX. So this is all very strange news. It's very sad news for gamers and Nintendo fans. I do still think E3 this year is going to be a great show. I'm super excited, but I also own and play and enjoy all of the companies and different aspects of gaming and PlayStation, Xbox, PC, all that stuff. So not every gamer has that advantage. Some gamers are only Nintendo fans, so they're even more disappointed by what's happening. Luckily, Nintendo announced that they are going to have a handful of other things being shown on the second and third days. Some 3DS games and maybe, I think, another handful of really small Wii U games. Paper Mario is a game people were hoping would be showed that isn't going to be there, and that really stinks, but they are going to have a few other things, and hey, that's pretty cool. So what I want to discuss with you guys today is how Nintendo is really going to come out of this thing. It's such a weird scenario. You know, Nintendo is no stranger to weird scenarios. 9 times out of 10, they create those weird scenarios themselves. That is definitely what we're looking at here with E3 2016 and their inclusion and non-inclusion into the show, and the precedents it may set going forward. I have discussed how it's possible that this still could be a smart move for them. And I have discussed how it may or may not influence what they do going forward and if they ever come back to the show or not. A lot of different things going on there. I've made a couple of videos just in the last month or two about that, so feel free to check those out if you want. But as far as what will actually happen, I want to discuss whether or not Nintendo's showing at E3 2016 will be better or worse than last year's show, 2015. So obviously, if you've been following Nintendo or gaming for any length of time, you know that Nintendo did not have a great showing last year. It was very controversial. It was unfortunately quite boring. There wasn't a lot of content. There wasn't a lot of excitement. And the fact that they were coming off of an absolutely stellar 2014 showing, it was remarkably disappointing. We all know the Amiibo Fest Animal Crossing controversy. We all know the Metroid Prime Federation Force controversy, the Mario music playing thing to finish out the Nintendo Direct. It was just such a not good year. There were a couple of good games still being shown, but it was all about the presentation and the lack of surprises. That was the thing that really hurt people. And then, yeah, maybe not giving us the correct entries in a couple of franchises that we've all been waiting for. That was all very too bad. That really set people on the path of disappointment. I was very disappointed. I was only angry for like a day. I will absolutely admit I was initially quite angry. I made a video about that at that time now a year ago. But I got over it pretty quickly, and it really just turned to disappointment, but still trying to find some hope for the future. And now, fast forward a year later, here we are ready to go with another E3 from Nintendo. They've all but said they're not really interested in being at E3, but they are bringing one mammoth thing, and that is the brand new Zelda. And you guys, we cannot discount how important that is. So it seems kind of weird to compare what they did last year to what they did this year, because last year was still an attempt at an actual E3 presence, and Reggie was there, and at the time Iwata was there. Or no, sorry, Iwata wasn't there because he was sick. But Bill Trinen was there, Miyamoto was there, all the typical staples were there. You know, and that was a big deal. Like, they were actually present at E3, and this year they're really not doing that. I don't even know. I might have heard that they confirmed Reggie won't even be there, but don't quote me on that. I feel like I heard that, but I'm not 100% sure. Either way, we know that they're just going to have the Treehouse guys there. They're going to be showing off Zelda on June 14th, and it's going to be like a couple hour live stream, and they're probably going to do an initial blowing the doors open on the game, which I'm pretty excited for. What I was really hoping they would do is have like a 20-minute Nintendo Direct presentation first to actually discuss it, have Reggie and Bill and maybe Anuma and other people just present the game to us, give us the title of the game. We have bets going right now on the podcast that I do every week on what the actual title of the name are going to be. Fake bets, of course. I think I was the only one who actually had suggestions. So, what's the name of this game going to be? I'm very excited to find that out. What's the story? How is Zelda included? Why are you in this world? How big is the world? Blah, blah, blah. All these things we want to see. So we know that they're going to do that, show some 3DS games and a couple of their small Wii U games. Is it possible that this showing, with how bare bones it is, ends up still being better than E3 2015, last year's? So I have two answers to that. Personally, no, I don't think it's going to be better. Despite how disappointing last year's showing was, I just can't really get over how unexciting it was. And I've always said this, and a lot of people do not have this philosophy, and that's fine. My philosophy is this. I think E3, at least half of what you're doing, is also the presentation and the excitement that you garner from what you're doing and how you're doing it. It's not always just the content itself. So you have to also generate buzz. You have to make people laugh. You have to make people excited. You have to surprise people. I will always stand by the surprises. And Nintendo was the one who patented the E3 surprise. So it's really predicated on Nintendo's kick-ass E3 history that I say this. The surprise goes a long way to generating excitement in your company and your presentation, your E3 presence, your product, your games. That is huge. And Nintendo has had some of, if not the very best surprises ever in the history of the show. They did not do that last year. The other thing that you have to have is good games. And they kind of didn't really do that last year either. I mean, they had some okay. I'm trying to think of what they had that was good. Like Hyrule Warriors on the 3DS. I can't even think. I didn't research it. I didn't pull up a list. I can't even think of what else they had that was actually good. Like Mario Tennis, we know how that turned out. They didn't even bring Fatal Frame at the time, which was very disappointed. Xenoblade, they would have had Xenoblade for like the 33 in a row, but it's a great game and it was exciting still to see it. And then they had a bunch of other stuff that just really wasn't all that great. I think the Zelda Four Swords Adventure game that came out that really was blah. Metroid Prime, Federation Force, blah. Mario Maker, okay, that's cool. So they didn't really have games. They had nothing new and exciting, and they had a couple of very disappointing games. Mario Tennis, Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, Metroid Prime, Federation Force. All those things were huge, massive disappointments. Not great games, disappointments that made people upset and felt like their favorite franchises weren't being treated with respect. Whether or not that's true is a different case, but that's how people felt. So because of those things, I was still glad to have them there. I still followed them throughout that week of the show, and I still did see some things I liked. I just appreciate the fact that they were still present and trying, even though they had no content to really try with. This year, they're not doing that. So that's why, for myself, I don't know that their overall show this year is going to be able to overtake even the pretty miserable, disappointing show that they had last year. That being said, I think if they kill it with Zelda, and I mean if they really kill it with Zelda, it has the power. Zelda has this effect. It's one of the few series that ever could do this. It has the power to overshadow all of the other things that aren't happening and make most gamers so excited that they just completely forget about E3 last year. I think it's going to be something where gamers don't even really start comparing it. They'll be like, oh, this was better than last year, but they won't actually compare it in their heads. And remember, last year was a real attempt at an E3, and this year was really just a couple of hours of a treehouse in one game. And then on the 15th, they're doing the 3DS Treehouse, so that's going to be cool too. But I think that if they really, if they knock it out of the park with Zelda, and I do kind of think that they will, by the way, because it's freaking Zelda. They could show Link kicking rocks at a tree, for like hours, and I'd be like, that's amazing. It's beautiful. So I think that it has the ability to kind of wipe the memory of gamers of E3 last year, and I think it could end up being seen as really, really successful, and if they're smart, they'll plant some seeds for the NX version of the game. If they're smart, they'll plant some seeds for the NX just period. And if they're smart, they'll plant some seeds for some other games that maybe they're not showing at the show this year, but that sometime soon, and I say soon, within the month or two after E3, they're willing to show us some more things. They're willing to say, hey, Nintendo isn't done making stuff for 2016, this year and beyond. Here's some other things. Confirm what's happening with Paper Mario. I've discussed if that game is maybe more likely going to be an NX game or not. Reveal to us Pikmin 4 finally. Talk to us about when you're going to show the NX. Just show the goddamn NX already. There's so many things that they can still do. And hell, if you're not going to bring it to E3, which you should be doing, but if you're not going to, if you plant some seeds and get us excited for the future and don't just say, here's Zelda, pretty cool, huh? Then you're really going to do a lot of things. And I mean, if some of those things happen, I might be willing to look at it as a better show than E3 2015. But granted, the thing is, none of us can tell. I can't tell. I'm really just kind of guessing and theorizing before the show happens. Really seeing how this week, this weird and unique and strange E3 for Nintendo 2016 is going to play out. That's really going to be the key. I'm very curious. And at this point, my excitement is less about what they might show us, because we basically know it's just going to be Zelda, peppered with a couple of other things. It's not about what they're going to show us. It's about how it's going to play out. I'm curious what this E3 for Nintendo is going to look like, and I am beyond excited for Zelda. You know, on the podcast, The Juice is Loose that I do, Terminator Juice has been great ever since his information came out about reminding people, like, you're going to see Zelda. You're going to see a lot of Zelda. And if you didn't expect other things at a show like this, you would be crapping your pants with excitement to finally find out all about Zelda. Wii U version, NX version, or otherwise. So if you kind of go into E3 with that perspective, and I'm not saying give Nintendo a pass, because I still think it's pretty lame that they're not bringing other stuff to the show. I don't know. I think it's just so weird, and I wish they weren't doing that. But still, if you just look at it as the Zelda show and how much we've all been wanting Zelda forever, all these Zelda fans, I feel like if you just focus on that, you're going to find quite a bit more enjoyment, and you can maybe calm down, take a breath, take a step back, and just be like, let's see how great Zelda's going to be. Because we all know Zelda's going to be great. So if you're just excited for that, hopefully it's going to be a better show. But anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to do. Not like a direct comparison between last year and what might happen this year, but just the general feeling of the population, the gamer population, after E3 last year, and what it might be after E3 this year based on the couple of things Nintendo is going to be doing. Is it possible that they can still take a bare bones show and make it better than last year's pretty disappointing effort? And I feel like for myself, maybe not, but overall, it might be seen as more successful. And I will be so very happy for that, because I think Nintendo deserves it. You know, they really need to knock it out of the park with the NX, though. If this week isn't a hit, I mean, Nintendo really needs to do something. I still think, yes, E3 is fading out of relevancy, but I still think it's relevant enough that it's a shame they're not bringing more to the show, and I hope it doesn't bite them in the ass in the long run. It may, but it may not. Maybe they surprise us. Like I said, they have basically patented the E3 surprise, so if anyone can pull out a win out of this, it's probably Nintendo. So we'll see how it plays out. Either way, we're a couple of days away. Sunday, June 12th, actually, EA Plays event starts, which is not technically E3, but it's kind of like E3 hype sort of thing. EA is going to be showing off a bunch of stuff. I want to see Mass Effect. I want to see Star Wars games. I want to see what else they're doing. Maybe Dead Space comes back. All sorts of things. So look forward to that on Sunday. Monday, the conferences start. And then, of course, Tuesday, Nintendo's Treehouse and the rest of the E3 show floor actually starts. How will it be? Will it be great or will it be disappointing? No one knows. I guess we'll just have to see, and everyone will tune in. I'll be making quite a bit of videos that week, so hopefully you guys will check those out. Either way, discuss Nintendo at E3 below. How do you think it will compare to last year? Do you think there's any chance that they can come out saving face from this for you and for other gamers in the industry? Discuss all that stuff below. Get excited for E3 next week, guys. Can't believe it's just a couple days away. And this is Robert Rule of 2 Review, and I'll catch you guys next time on another video.